Hello. How many people are here? Oh, I'm getting an echo. That's why. Okay. So we're
Hello, snails.
we're getting snails in chat.
Of course.
Our favorite. This is very strange because I've got us on our faces up on two sections.
Oh yeah, I had to get rid of the one on the other screen. Hello, Jack Rabbit. What's up? How's everyone doing today?
I'm very good. We'll get started here in a second as we get more people coming through, just so we don't miss the important introductions.
Of course not.
But hopefully you guys can see just from the bottom of our screen, just our names really quickly. I'm Bailey. It's Krown down in the bottom. Gwen. And I'm pointing the wrong direction totally for this.
You're trying.
There we go. Okay. So we're all working on Chromatic Gamut, or I guess, Lynne, you're wrapped. Gwen,
Yes.
You're not wrapped yet, but working on Chromatic Gamut. And Krown is one of our community leads, like within action fiction, who didn't work on this project specifically, but is our streaming person. So
of course I'm here on the stream.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. All right. I'm very bad at Twitch, so we've got a few people here. Okay, well, we've got a few people, so why don't we do some quick introductions, just so people can know what's happening.
I'm wearing clown makeup. Of course I'm wearing clown makeup. This is just my normal everyday look. I don't know what you're talking about. I am a clown. I don't...
This is your
We'll get into this later.
Gwen really tried to get us to, like, dress up for stream, and just in case Gwen went harder than her normal just clownery, I definitely brought my witch hat just in case. So,
we love it.
Just in case, but I probably am not going to wear it.
Casual clownery. Sorry.
There we go.
Yes, it's my witch hat.
I need a witch hat. I do.
Okay, so my other job, we're gonna get off topic right away, but my other job is that I work for like a fabric company, and we make like tutorials and shit like that. And I pushed my agenda of what if we did a tutorial on how to make a witch hat, and then I got to keep the witch hat. So
you won. You cheated the system, and I love that.
You did it.
There's no better way to do it. Anyways, we'll do some very quick introductions because we're going to be recording this and putting this out here for other people afterwards also. I'm Bailey. I am the project lead and co-creative lead for Chromatic Gamut. I'm one of the core team members of Action Fiction. I'm LGBTQA+. I'm a person of mixed racial background. What else? I'm a writer. I wrote on Action Fiction's Restaurants and Retail project, and then they hired me on in a full capacity as a core team member, and then let me make this really gay book with my partner, my writing partner, Snails, who is the other co-creative lead and our art director. So that's the exciting introduction nonsense about myself. And then Krown, we'll do you next just because you're one of our interviewers.
Oh, then hello, I'm Krown. I am also part of the interviewing team. I am mostly in charge of the Twitch side and hopefully soon the YouTube side of things. And I just help kind of moderate stuff, and hopefully we'll start seeing more content here on Twitch too, and producing some cool things that you guys will hopefully all be a part of. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Short, sweet.
Perfect. Really quickly, hi Erica, thanks for dropping in. She's one of my friends. Gwen, if you wanted to introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Gwendolyn Kelly, otherwise known as Glitchy Pixie on some parts of the internet. I am a Black Jewish trans lesbian. That's why I'm here. I'm also a clown, and I did some of the writing on Action Fiction, and I'm also currently working on some of the art. We can talk about that a little bit later. super excited to talk about what we've been working on. This has been an amazing project so far.
Excellent. All right, Lynn.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Lynne. I am bisexual, gender fluid, and polyamorous. And I am so queer. I am so queer. And this book is like a dream come true for me. I'm one of the writers, and I love everything about this book, and I cannot wait to talk to people about it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, we've been sitting on our hands, like talking about it since. I've been sitting on my head since January. You guys have been sitting since April to like fully talk about it. Not that we weren't allowed to talk about it, but it, like we had two separate teams, so the like cohesive and bringing it all together didn't happen until the end of April. So we've been raring to go.
I love that. I'm excited to hear all about it, especially since I know literally nothing about the book. So this is going to be fun. This is going to be really exciting.
So Krown doesn't know anything. We kept her in the dark specifically so we could talk to her about it.
Yes. And as a fellow queer, I think this is exciting to see because, like, I've always wanted to see. I totally skipped on the fact that why I am allowed to also be a part of this amazing team is that I am also a bisexual, aromantic, gender fluid person. So that's why. So, like, I've always wanted to see more of just everything amazing about what I love about myself and what I love about the people around me in a book that's focused on D&D. So I'm excited to see what you guys came up with. I already have a lot of questions. So
okay, it'll be very exciting. And just to preface also, if you are straight, you're allowed to be here, but it's just going to be very gay. So I'm very sorry.
It's very gay.
I'm not apologizing.
That is also fair.
It is the gay focus today. We are the part of the focus.
Exactly. Okay. So, just to quickly, why don't we summarize the setting of our book so everyone knows what's going on in the book itself, like the core concept of it, book-wise. So, Lynn, if you wanted to talk about that, that'd be great.
Sure, I'm going to try to do this justice. This is why I am fueled by coffee tonight. So, anybody who's familiar with the, Monsters of Merca universe, this is an expansion of that. This is the Merca version of New York City, but with, as you might expect, our own unique twists on it. And specifically, what we have in this universe, in this part of the universe, is that some years ago, there was a bill passed. The Wallstone Bill was passed, which essentially gave power right back to the people, and it gave what we're calling the Chromatic Gamut, the LGBTQIA plus family, full power, occupy any profession, hold office, live your best lives, right? And so this is now a safe haven for the Chromatic Gamut. And so it's a celebration of all of that. It's colorful and it's vibrant and it's wonderful. But it's a city. And of course, there are challenges that come with being in a city. So there are things to deal with in this place as well, which I don't know if I want to spoil that quite yet, but we have fun challenges and tycoons to fight. And oh my gosh, there's so much. It's amazing.
Yeah, like that perfectly feeds right into like what those challenges are, in the sense of like what our core conflict is in the book for us to, engage the audience and have people fight back against certain things. Gwen, do you want to tell us a little bit about the core conflict in Chromatic Gamut?
Yeah, absolutely. I love conflict. So our main pitch for what the conflicts of this book was going to be was sort of like capitalism. Essentially, is our big enemy in this book. Essentially, with our sort of combating with the LGBTQ space, sort of the idea of capitalism not only being damaging but also exploiting us and things like that. It's essentially giving you a chance to actually like sort of physically fight back against those things that sort of happen in real life, but we sort of manifest them in sort of a physical way. There are things that happen that can change the environment around you, create like literal hostile architecture. And there are these tycoons that you can fight. And they sort of embody sort of the negative qualities of that capitalism and how it affects people and how it affects society and things like that. And you don't necessarily have to deal with that if you don't want to. You can just very well just ignore the conflicts that may have some parallels to real life if you don't want to deal with that. There's plenty in the book. But if you would like that stuff, you have the chance to face it.
Yep.
Yeah, like very specifically, we focused a lot on gentrification, because that's something that really affects all people of all societies and like a big city. But also, like, we really wanted to pay focus to like marginalized people, people who are in communities that are easily exploited because of money, essentially, like people being like bought out, and giving power back to the player to like fight back against that, in the sense of like, you don't have to stick up with that shit, and you could get angry at the big corporations that exploit queer media for profit without, giving back to the community in any kind of way. So we really wanted to make a fun playground for people to do that, or just be queer and, have fun without having to engage with all of the horrible stuff that exists in the real world. So I have a few people asking about like the weapons and stuff like that, and we will definitely get to that. But first, something that's actually very exciting. Gwen was one of our people that designed quite a few of our subclasses. So Gwen, do you want to talk to us a little bit about some of those fun subclasses?
Yeah. So I designed a couple of them. One of them being the Drag Paladin, and also the Dom X Rogue. The Dom X Rogue was the one that I tackled first and took the most going through and editing. It took quite some time. But so this is essentially a rogue that allows you to play sort of a dominatrix character, and the important thing when I was designing this was to allow you to have control. And when we think about control in Dungeons and Dragons, the first thing that people usually think of is like area control. Like that's kind of a wizard's thing, is like locking down areas and things like that. This is not quite that. It is more control in the sense of you control what happens and when. This rogue can pretty much control everything to a degree. You can control when you do extra damage. You get a bonus to your sneak attack damage if you actually make them wait for it. You can encourage, consensually, your teammates, and you can give them bonuses to their attacks. You can even heal your teammates with a little bit of aftercare. And this rogue also utilizes the use of a chart that I put in here. One of many charts that I put in this book. I'm so sorry to the editors.
Don't apologize, you're good.
So I was able to implement a BDSM weapon chart, BDSM weapon conversion chart. So you can substitute some of the standard weapons that you find in D&D for BDSM gear, essentially, and this rogue utilizes them. and has proficiency in them. And you can get some fun little bonuses just from using them, including being able to restrain your targets with whips, and again, using those, using a sort of modified dual weapon fighting style as well that allow you to utilize your bonus action quite a bit, as rogues tend to do that anyway, and it lets you do that a little bit more. But yeah, this rogue does it all. You get buffs, you get debuffs, you get extra damage, you get a little bit of healing, you get bonuses to your even your roleplay potential, because you also have there's a new armor that I also made that is rubber armor that you can obtain in this book that it gives you a little bit of a bonus if you use that as well. So I had a lot of fun with
I was just going to say, and yes, it is electric proof because it's rubber.
Love that.
So.
What was your like inspiration to making a character or like a class like that? Like that seems like such an amazing task to like set upon yourself, but like how was that idea even brought? And then how did you come to tackle what you wanted to even put in there? Like that's incredible to me.
It's wow, it did take
You're
me
like
a while.
asking Gwen to like consolidate herself as a person into
because like not to like out myself on this chat, but I am like I'm huge in the community of BDSM. So the fact that like I loved seeing this character, and I feel like there's such love and attention brought to this character or like the class, I am like in love with it, and I am just like, let me peek into your mind a little bit and explain and whisper to me the great secrets that you have, because this I've seen some of the classes, but this is the one that I was like, this is it. This is the one I want to see.
You're the person I need to talk to. So
yeah.
I also really, really want to quickly say to Lee Stewart, who was talking in chat, and to you, Krown, there's also the Sub-Knight fighter class.
Oh my
god! Actually, that's actually a point. When we were discussing subclasses, and then when we finally came to like, yeah, we're gonna do one of each, one of every class. We both sort of, me and another writer, sort of came to the conclusion like, okay, we want to have like BDSM themes in here, and we didn't want them to be too similar, so we like really sort of separated it by pushing the boundaries of like, okay, one is going to be about domination control, sort of like that, and one is going to be about like being able to take hits and just being able to, I guess, survive most things. So we actually did make sure that we were not going to do too much overlap, but we did also make sure that they play off of each other really well.
Yeah.
But how that
really quickly, one of the key things that we worked really hard on was that consent was key in developing both of these subclasses.
Yeah, and I love seeing that. It's very clear, like even in like the small chunk of paragraph that we got from Gwen explaining it. It's very clear that consent was like a huge issue, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah, even the 9th level ability for this rogue is literally called consensual motivation.
I love that.
So, but I think we actually, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later, but I think the idea kind of sparked from another idea that I think I threw out in like the first meeting, which was about the kink fiends, the kink monsters, and then it just sort of grew from there. I'm just like, well, I'd like to give this power to the players too, because we were talking about like the weapon conversion charts, and I'm just like, what class is going to do this the best? Who's going to be able to do this best? It's got to be rogue, because it also allowed me to use charisma as a soft stat for the rogue, because the rogue can have a soft stat in anything really, but just thinking about rogue players, because I'm a DM myself and I play, and I've DM'd with rogues in the party, and I'm just like, most rogues also like to be the face, so this sort of feels like a perfect fit for rogue players.
Really quickly, so we don't just totally take up all the time talking about rogues. Not that that's a problem, but really quickly, I'm just gonna read out some of the title headers that we have right now on the rogue itself. We've got so the Domex rogue, tools of titillation, beg for it, consensual motivation, and alluring attire. So like
Absolutely amazing.
it'll be great. Subnight has also really great ones. There's a lot of stuff about like being prone has a huge advantage for Subnights.
Of course.
So we got it. But we're just gonna quickly go ahead because I really, 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 really want to talk about, and something that I think is very cool, which not a lot of other supplement books do, is that we actually created a whole new pantheon for our book, and Lynne worked on that, and like reading that was a pleasure. So it's fantastic. Lynne, if you want to talk a little bit about your pantheon.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I love them all so much. It started off with the goal of doing 5, and we ended up with 8 because we couldn't decide. But all of them are based on real life people, people who are no longer with us in body, but as you will see in the Pantheon, are definitely with us in spirit. These are folks who were either activists or just had such an indelible mark in the world that they have been elevated to Pantheon, status. And so, some of the names are going to be more familiar, like, yes, Freddie Mercury is in there. Because of course.
Farouk Hermes.
Yes. And if you're a religion or mythology nerd, you will appreciate all the little touches that are in there. That is my academic background, is in religion and world religions and stuff. And so I could not wait to get my hands on these. So there's a lot of little bits in there. So Farouk Hermes is an example of that. So I really love what he represents in this pantheon. But then there are other names that maybe if you're not in the community, you may not know, or maybe you haven't heard of. Like Brenda Howard is really important for me, who is somebody who is a prominent bisexual activist, prominent in the polyamorous community, part of the leather community. She was a sex worker, and just really did just so much. And we wanted to honor her work. And so, and she was also, can I just say, I love the art in my mind for her, because this was not a conventionally physically attractive person by what you might see in a magazine, right? But it doesn't mean she wasn't gorgeous and sexy, and she owned it, right? So she is a full-figured person who is sexual and proud, and she wears leather. That's how she appears to people. She is in leather. But there are non-animal options if your ethics prevent you from, seeing it that way. So, there's fat positivity, there's polyamorous positivity, and there's, additional kink positivity. And though that's something else we tried to do with the Pantheon, right, is represent a diverse array of identities and experiences, and also places where the players can connect. So all of the deities in this pantheon, there are suggested domains for clerics. That was a lot of fun to assign those. There's, their iconography, there's their symbols, there's how they're worshipped, who worships them. It's so much fun. I think the one that got me choked up the most, well, there were two. I got very emotional when working on them, because again, we're talking about honoring real people. So as I was learning more about them, my poor partners, they had to hear me get like weepy on a couple of points. Like Alan Turing is in here, and he did not have a fair go in life. And the more we learned about Alan, the more we wanted to honor his work. And so that meant a lot to me. And so I just can't wait for people to see it. And I hope they find something fun to work with. These amazing individuals.
I'll give you a break, Lynne, so you don't have to get weepy again.
No, I know. I have this like this intimidating exterior, but I'm a big sap on the inside. That is a secret that I have just now confessed to all of you. I have a soft Louis center
We
So-
got the Joss. We got Krown is into the BDSM community.
There you go.
Lynne is a big softie.
We got
Yeah.
it. We're covering all our bases. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
good.
saying.
Something that I really think that like I want to make really clear to everybody is like Action Fiction is like a satirical parody company that like makes fun of pop culture. But something that we really wanted to be like very clear on is like we're never going to punch down. Like
Right.
it's always going to be punching up. So like we would never make fun of like Harvey Milk and like all of these important people and stuff like that. They were handled with like so much love and care. And like of course like the mothers of the Pantheon is like Marsha P. Johnson and you know Sylvia Riviera and like just
Mhm.
we really wanted to make sure that it was this thing of like the queer activists that helped, you know, not only like put queer people on the map, but worked for rights for queer people and all this stuff were like really honored. Cause yeah, and like when Lynne came into our first writing meeting and it was just like, I'm interested in working on the Pantheon. And I was like, excellent. This is what I wanted you to work on. I'm so glad you just like volunteered yourself.
I mean, I love world building, and this book has so much really interesting world building in it. So to play a part of that is really exciting. Just everything in here. I think it's especially layered and nuanced in some really unexpected ways. People might say, "Oh, it's, you know, again, it's a parody book, it's a comedy book," but it doesn't mean you can't have a lot of really deep thought about what it means. You know, when you build worlds, you make choices, and the choices are significant, and they reveal something about how we experience that universe. And one of the reasons I really love writing is that you can create the world that you wish was.
Mm-hmm.
You have
really a great way of putting it.
So much power. And so, for example, with Freddie Mercury, you know, this is again, he wasn't necessarily an activist in his life, but he became the catalyst for so much activism, and his work and his presence means something. And so we want to honor that and move it forward. And so, yeah, I see a place where all of us in the family are really celebrated and supported, and no one is alone. No one has to go through feeling unloved.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if nothing else, you've got Farouk Hermes there in your corner, cheering you on, you know?
Yeah, totally. 100%. Like, I feel like a lot of young queer people, you know, finding out that their certain artists were queer and that sort of stuff meant so much to so many people. And like, I 100%, like, I don't think I would probably be as confident as a queer person as I am now if, you know, the people before me, like Freddie Mercury and, you know, so many others weren't, you know, brave and out about it and that sort of stuff. Like, it matters, right? So, anyways, before we become a big sappy moment here, because I could go on for ages about queer experiences, because that's why we wrote a book about it.
Exactly, actually.
Yeah. So, one of the things that like we really did was we had weekly writers meetings so we could talk about what certain writers were working on, making sure everybody was, you know, being cohesive and all that kind of stuff. And there was quite a few interesting sessions of pitching some very interesting monsters that, you know, a lot of them ended up in the book. We did have to cut some of the rats that were created because there was like 10 rat creatures.
So many rats. Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of rats. But
all amazing.
Yes. I know that Gwen, you worked on a lot of the monsters. Did you want to tell us a little bit about some of the monsters you made?
Sure. I did contribute to the rats. I did write a rat. Actually, coincidentally, I'm actually working on the art for that rat right now. That is Rattles the Pizza Rat.
What?
That is a reference to a couple of things.
Frickin' Rattles the Pizza Rat.
partially to the famous viral video of the rat in the subway with the pizza, a little bit of Charles Entertainment cheese and Five Nights at Freddy's in there, and he's an interesting encounter. I think he's a really good mini boss. But also, what I mentioned earlier was some kink monsters.
I was hoping you would get to that. I've been holding it in the back of my brain. I was like, I'll wait until the end of the presentation, but I need to know about kink monsters. Incredibly bad.
Yeah.
It started out on one monster, and then I was just like, Gwen, we need to spell the word BDSM in our book with the kink monsters. So, like, 3 more.
So it did turn into 4 monsters. And it turned into essentially one sort of separate monster, and then sort of 3 monsters that sort of increase in severity, essentially. The first one being a monster called the Bunny Bari, which is a Venus creature that actually gains AC when it's restrained.
Oh my god, that's amazing!
It has a charming moan attack, and so it will actively attempt to be restrained or grappled by you. So
I love
you
this
actually
so
don't
much.
want to do that, probably.
This is already amazing. I can't wait. Give me the book now. I need to play this. I need to end the interview. I need to go play this. This is incredible already. I'm in love.
You have to tell them about like our little like snuck in caveat about like safe words and stuff like that with your monsters.
Yes. So with the other ones, there are 3 tiers of monster called Demonators. And so there's the Demonator, the Superior Demonator, and then the Master Demonator. And with those, there is a little section about safe words of the Demonators. And it's essentially something that it's a great roleplay hook, honestly. If you know that there is a Demonator in the area, Master Demonators sort of like warp reality, create dungeons underneath the city. You can find out about them, and you can try to find what their safe word is. And if you do that, that actually gives you mechanical benefits when fighting them, and it can potentially make your encounter much easier.
That is such an amazing idea. Oh my god, what even gave you guys the idea to do that?
Well, we were talking about it. I think it was a thing of like, again, consent being key. And we were just like, how do we make this so we can make sure that the players and the GMs have like equal playing fields for making sure that people feel safe in the situation, so you never overstep the boundaries of people's preferences or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, like even I think in the description that I wrote, like it's like, oh, even fiends have safe words, like because they like Master Demonators, for example, they'll have basically entire entourages, and they're the ones who like train the lesser Demonators, and they can, and those also have like lair actions or dungeon actions, and they have minions, and they have legendary actions, and they can summon bunny baris, and there are effects for the lair, like I think one of the lair actions is that somebody spills lube on the floor and it gets too slippery and you have to make dex saves, or the dungeon gets too hot and you have to save or be exhausted. And then there's also restraints, and if you get restrained, you're going to have to waste your turns trying to break them. There's definitely a lot to these monsters, and I think they make for really fun encounters.
It sounds like it's going to be amazing. I honestly can't wait to play this. This is already incredible. I'm already in love.
Just to make sure everyone understands too. So that we had our writers in 2 separate teams, just because like controlling 8 writers in one room is impossible. So we separated them into 2 different teams. Gwen was on one team, and then Lynne was on another team. And I wasn't on Lynne's team. I wasn't the team lead for that team. And I am so curious to know more about what happened in your guys' writers' room when it came to monster pitches.
Yeah, I would love to know.
I will say I don't think I've ever laughed so hard as I did when I was writing things. The one in particular where the rats came up, I really wish we had recorded it because the one.
Oh, we lost your audio, Lynn. Oh no! No!
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh,
Were we
wait.
finally gonna learn about the rats? Oh no!
The internet was like, the rats are too powerful.
No, I need to know. Come back! I've been
I'll
sitting
send-
on this forever.
I'll send Lynn a message real fast, but we'll continue until she's back up and running. The other things that we talked about really quickly, as a team lead, I didn't get to do a ton of writing, but I did get to design at least a couple monsters. And I actually designed one of our tycoons, who is based off of... Oh, I'm so bad at names. I wasn't anticipating talking about this that much, but it's based off of... oh God, I'm so bad. Anyways, her tycoon name is Mirage Road Vipres. So based off of like
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez, yes. So it's based off of like she's a tycoon based off of like the Fast and the Furious films. So
I love that.
she turns into a snake, but also can turn things into like cars and like attack people with them. So
I love that. The Fast and the Furious is actually my guilty pleasure watch. I love that like that movie franchise so much, and to hear that, I'm ready.
So
I'm ready.
like she's got moves that are, it's called like dodge, Viper. So dodge Viper. Like the speed wagons, so she can turn carts into speed wagons that are like self-propelled.
Oh my God.
But for one of the things, and like, you know, you're writing monster descriptions, this kind of stuff, she turns into a big snake. And I had to make a snake stat because apparently there's no giant snake stats that aren't in the core 5e books. So I had to make a giant snake monster
Wait,
stat
what?
book.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like there's like humongous ones or like small ones. There isn't just like a huge snake, like a big
That's
snake.
so weird, though.
Anyways, so the snake like description, and I was just like, I was so done at this point. And like also it's a snake, right? Oh, Lynn's gonna join back in just a second. So the description for the snake is literally just, it's a big snake. What more do you want?
I love that.
I mean, that's all you really need.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that
Exactly.
tattooed on the back of my leg. It's just a big snake. What do you want? I think that's iconic.
So that's Tycoons, because like our big villains in the book, you can like, what's the right way to say this? The tycoons in the book are set up in a specific way where you can either fight them because it's people like Joe Rogan, and then you can also like engage with them in a way that potentially allows them to see why they've made mistakes and like better themselves, because there's gray areas, right? So like combat isn't always the first option. You could make other decisions. Diplomacy, essentially.
We love that.
So let's go. Hopefully we can get Lynn back in here soon so she can
Guess we can learn about rats.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, Gwen can enjoy the being in the middle, though, the spotlight. for the
yeah.
moment.
I do like that. Like I have to be over here to. Oh no, other
Right?
side.
Oh
I have to
wait,
be over here.
where am I? I have to lean you a
There we
little
go.
bit closer.
Hello, hey Gwen. I feel like I'm like leaning on your shoulder, and I'm just like, hey.
I feel like this might be also. This kind of looks like a weird interrogation as well. Like, hey, Gwen, what's up? Tell me more about the other stuff.
I would like you to. Lynn says that she's having some internet issues, so she'll be joining us in a little bit. But
Sure.
Gwen, do you want to tell us a little bit about the leather dollar crab?
The what? Excuse me?
Oh, I was so excited about the leather dollar crab. It was literally like a one-off, like silly thing. Like it wasn't even in a meeting. I think it was just me making a joke. Yeah, it was just me making a joke because I was working on all of the kink monsters, and I was working on the Dominic's Rogue subclass, and then everybody else was like working on like like other subclasses, and it was all like it's all very good, like good feely stuff. And I was just like, I'm just over here making my BDSM stuff. I don't know what y'all are doing. And I posted that, that one image of Mr. Krabs and the BDSM gear, and it was like this one. And then I think it was Snails who was like, got to make that now, and was just like, how much you want to bet?
Snails.
It's like, how much you want to bet Gwen's gonna have a stat block by the end of the day? And I was just like, I had the Google Doc open already, and I was like, I just yeah, I mean, yeah. And I did. I had it in like 30 minutes, and
I love him so much. I want to read my favorite line from the Leather Dollar Crab if I can find it, because it makes me so happy.
Also, we have an artist on it right now, and I'm so excited to see when it's done.
Oh my god.
Okay. So this is my favorite line from the description. If you find a hole in your gold pouch, you might hear a faint Leather Dollar Crab as it scuttles away with your hard-earned cash.
Yeah, the thing about the Leather Dollar Crab is that its entire purpose is it's designed to be able to steal your money. Like, its attack is a claw attack that can steal your money, and then it can disengage and run. Its speed is so fast. Like, you're gonna have to try really hard to get your money back. It doesn't steal too much, but like, if you want your money back, it can understand you. It can't really talk back, but it can understand you, so you could still reason with it.
Yeah, it's a tiny beast, challenge rating 1/8, so it's like not a hard monster to fight, but like it'll get your goods in more ways than one.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love him so much. So we'll get Lynne back in here in a bit to hopefully be able to talk about some rats. But in the meantime, I will ask Gwen a little bit about what else do I want to Gwen a little bit about? Actually, we can just talk about monsters more. Oh, no, we should talk about some of the spells and magic items that we have in our book, because we definitely made some of those.
I did. I was fortunate enough to make a little bit of everything, although I did make a lot of monsters. I did make a little bit of everything here and there. Spells. Spells are fun to work on. They're always a little tricky because there's so many spells already, and it's just like, oh, what do we do? What do we do next? What can we manipulate in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons? But I did make 2 spells, and those are the girl boss and male wife spell. And they are I think they are 2nd level enchantment spells. And I really like spells and magic items that give you options. So these give you options. When you cast Girl Boss and it lands, you have to, just saving throw on a target. You get to choose either to gaslight or gatekeep.
Oh my god.
And depending on what you choose will sort of affect what happens to the affected person. If you we just pull it up. If you gatekeep them, you prevent them from doing pretty much using anything that you have access to. So say you fight with a sword, they also have a sword. If you choose gatekeep, they can't use that sword anymore.
That's rough. That's fucked up. How could you do that?
That's girl bossing. And then gaslighting affects their saving throws in a way that I think is like your mental saving throws, your charisma, your wisdom, your intelligence. And the male wife has sort of the opposite effect. You can either choose to manipulate or mansplain.
Oh my god.
And if you manipulate, you mess with their physical stats, so your constitution, your strength, your dexterity. Or if you choose to mansplain, you actually can use your reaction to basically make them stop what they're doing. It makes it harder to do whatever it is that they were trying to do. Like if they were casting a spell, you can be like, well, actually, this
Oh
is how
my
you cast that
God.
spell. Darkness
That's
is not a spell
amazing.
you want to be casting. See? So those are fun.
The true horror in our games.
That really is the true horror.
I think it just opens up though to so many fun encounters too. Like you can just have like honestly like a kind of a loser mean character that just likes to mansplain like stuff to enemies. I think that sounds amazing. That sounds like a vision and a dream to me.
Well, something you always have to account for are if players want to play an evil party, right?
Yeah,
So, like, if someone wants to make an evil character, like,
this is the way to go.
why not, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Why not live your vicarious dreams of sending your weird mansplaining man into a situation where you'd be like, I don't care if he dies.
Yeah. It's therapeutic in some way to sacrifice a character like that sometimes, okay? Let me mansplain my way out of a situation, maybe die. If that's how he
Exactly.
lives, that's how he lives.
Then again, I also had the pleasure of making some magic items as well. I mentioned that I worked on. I think I made a cat suit essentially that works as light armor, gives you like lightning resistance, and some other bonuses here and there. I also made the legendary artifact everything bagel.
Oh my God.
Which it was not. It was New York. I had to do it.
Of course.
But this is.
You had to do it to him.
I really did.
How to do it,
This is the everything bagel, though. It's not just an ordinary bagel. This bagel has a lot of power. And you take a bite of the bagel, and you can. That's how you expend the charges on the bagel, and you can cast a number of things. The thing about the everything bagel is that it has so much power, you don't get to control the power. You actually have to roll to determine whether whatever happens. You have to roll to determine what happens, and then you have to roll to determine whether it happens to you or someone else.
Ooh.
Or just everything around you. So you might be able to cast Disintegrate on somebody, or your character might be gone.
Ooh, that's rough. It takes like that deck of everything to a whole different level, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, this isn't just an item. It's like a artifact level item. Like, it's intense, powerful.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to be like, my level 2 character found an everything. I mean, unless you're that kind of GM. But like,
who knows? Yeah. You like that chaos? Go. Good for you.
Yeah, it's. I also made a point to specify that it cannot be destroyed. Once the everything bagel is fully consumed, it just reappears in a random space in the world. So you may think that you're rid of it, but it's just somewhere else for somebody else to pick up. So yeah, it's a little chaotic.
I love that. I love that little attention to of like, it doesn't ever go away. You may finish eating it, but it's still there somewhere else.
Yeah, cannot be destroyed.
Yes, so fun magic items and stuff like that. I'm really sad I didn't get to make more magic items. I didn't get to make a ton of stuff, but that's okay. I was too busy wrangling writers. Because like a bunch of our other writers too, and I'll do a really quick shout out to all of them too. We obviously can only interview so many people at once, and hopefully we'll get to interview more people in the future. But like, we've got like Jen, who worked a bunch on, like, she made a whole new, the polychromatic dragon type. So there's a new dragon type in our book. She wrote a lot of the like factions and like location-based stuff. So like we've got Broadway, which is called Monarch Boulevard in our book, and like so many great stuff. There's Wall Street is called Glass Street. And it like literally has a glass ceiling above it. So amazing. That sort of thing. Then we have Lindsay, and they worked on some of our monsters in one of our subclasses, the Gender Fluid Druid or Circle of Fluidity. So that was her amazing creation there. And then jumping over to the other team, we got Matt, who made a lot of the rats and like all of our tycoons. Essentially, he did an amazing job with that. Did some of our more locations and worked on like some magic items called like the hanky code. So like if you know sort of things, which is kind of cool. And then Lynne, who obviously did like the Pantheon and some of our other locations. And then I have to go through all this list. Oh my God, my brain. And then we've got Rue, who is another one of our fantastic writers, and they worked on some subclasses and stuff like that, made some really cool subclasses. Odor of the Donor. Oh, I think Lynne is returning. Yay!
Welcome back.
Wow.
My internet decided to die.
I am so sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about that. It happens sometimes.
So I am in Chicago, and our internet has been abysmal for the past week. So I was hoping, I clearly didn't petition the right deities, that it would cooperate for, an hour and a half without trouble. So I apologize for the interruption.
No worries.
That is all right.
I'll quickly wrap up shouting out the other writers, and then we'll get to the rats that I just talked about with Matt. We got Delilah, who also made like some amazing subclasses. Her designs were fantastic, and some monsters also. And then I think that's it. Oh no, C. Oh my God, I can't forget C. She also made amazing subclasses, and like she meets a really cool like ace vampire who's my personal favorite. I love, so like vampires are always so depicted as like super sexy, right?
Yeah.
And this is our ace vampire that's just like
I love that.
I love her. It's gonna be great. But anyways, Lynne, tell us a little bit about rats, because I'm sure Krown is.
Please, oh my God, I've been dying to know about these rats.
Well, I mean, any big city is going to have rats, right? And we're like,
Yes.
well, we're going to have at least one. Well, then we couldn't decide. So it went from Rattles the Pizza Rat to every iteration of rat that you could imagine, including a Rat King.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to remember how many we had before we started whittling down. I am not kidding. It was in the double digits.
I love that. You can never have too many rats, in my opinion.
Seriously.
We had too many rats. I had to cut some of the rats.
I don't think so. I think there should have been maybe more rats. I don't even know the number that made the ending cut, but more rats.
I voted for let's do a mini supplement of just the rats.
Just rats. And that's what it's just.
We'll make it
just
a stretch goal. We'll stretch goal more rats.
More rats.
More rats.
Well, and then we were thinking about rats and mice and cheese. So that let us think about the moon, and that let us think about possibilities about that. And there may be a reference in our many notes somewhere about, a lone muskrat.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Different creature, but we still could not resist that. It easily could be just its own setting at this point. We had so much material, and it just kept going and going and going, and I laughed so hard, and I wish we'd recorded it, because that itself would have been like...
We had a few people say that we should record our writer's room and like talk about the stuff, like just record it for like people to look at in the future, I guess.
Like for posterity's sake or
Great
whatever.
bonus content.
Maybe we'll do that next project, because
honestly, the brains. I will say this. This is the most supportive and collaborative experience that I have had. I was going to say since Uncaged, but honestly, it surpasses that in terms of active writers' room energy, and just. I think this is the best example of what collaboration should be. And the silliness with the rats is, as silly as it is, that's an example, right? Because somebody would pitch an idea and somebody else would say, okay, yes, and then build on that. And just, it was this great energy. And I miss my writer's room meetings. I actually missed that meeting. It was a highlight of my Saturday. It's like I got to hang out with some of the coolest people who are funny, they're talented, and they have empathy, and it was just the best experience. And I would so quickly work with anybody again.
That is so nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I
you are so
wholeheartedly agree.
sweet.
I'm so glad that like we did this little like survey at the end of the writers' room for all of our writers to be like, if you want to like privately like talk about your experience to us, so you know we could improve. And literally everyone was just like, I love this writing room, I want to come back. And I was just like,
Oh my God.
yay! And like I think it has so much to do with the fact that like literally everyone was queer, so it was just a space where you just felt so not just like accepted, but like my people kind of feeling like. And like I'm interacting with everybody more after the writings room too, kind of stuff like that, and I'm just like, what, I didn't know that you were a fan of this thing, and like what, I didn't know that we were talking about this sort of stuff, because like partly a good thing, because I feel like we would have gotten off topic really easily and not actually done any work. But yeah, like it's so nice for my writing room experience. It's just sort of a thing. It's just like every writer on this project, and then some, like the people who were like leads and stuff like that, they just feel like friends that I made, and it feels so cheesy. It's so true.
But isn't that the queer experience? Like once you like get like emotionally and like just attached to people, it becomes such a comforting experience, and you enjoy and like crave their like existence is too strong of a word, but like their company. There we go. Not existence, but you crave their company. And I think that's just kind of the queer experience, or at least for me, like especially when I've made friends in queer spaces.
Welcome to Ancient Fiction.
We want your whole existence.
I really do think there is a lot to be said for that. You know, we tried very hard to, I won't even say be respectful, because that sounds like that's a baseline that everybody should go for, but to really celebrate and honor each other, because we're all queer, but we all have very distinctly different experiences. What does that mean, right? So your experience may not be my experience, but I can truly listen and understand and empathize and walk with you. And so have it be this safe space. And really, that's how it felt for me. And I think we all tried to support everybody else. And the goal is to have that come through in the book, right? So, because there's plenty of awful in the world as it is. And if you want to engage in any of the awful, you can. But if you just want to be living your best, joyful, queer life, you can do that here, you know? And that's so refreshing to me to have that. It's not, well, we got one or two queer characters and, you know, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is a celebration. And that's amazing to me, and what excites me so much. I mean, and like I even, when we talk about the Pantheon, I even named the collective of them, that they're known as the family. And so there is that sort of a close relationship between the deities and the mortals, you know, because we're all in this together. So
I love that.
That actually segues perfectly into my next question, Lynn, which is, do you want to talk to us about one of your favorite creations, whether it was yours or from the writer's room, something that came out of the book, like just one of your favorite little bits?
Okay, I can't say the whole thing, but the whole thing. No. Number one, I love the ballroom. I love that the ballroom mechanics are there. I think that's brilliant. I think that's innovative and wonderful, and I'm so excited, and I want to see that in action. Mechanically, something that got me really excited and inspired a little bit of my own thinking was the subway. I love the subway because, you know, again, I'm in Chicago, and Chicago has a really important, you know, public transit system, and how much more for New York. It is a part of this landscape that had to be dealt with. And so the fact that every line has its own unique flavor, personality, opportunity for encounters and engagement. And in the case of the spirit line, there's even more esoteric potential there. So it's not just a mundane way to get from this part of the city to the other part of the city, but it's an integral part of the storytelling that leads you to all manner of discovery and adventure if you want to use it that way. Each line represents something different, and it's very much inspired by the pride flag. So, there's the spirit line and so on and so forth. And, it's just another part of the layering that I love. And it got my own creative juices thinking about, reality exists on multiple levels, right? There's what we see on the surface, and then there's what's under the surface. And how we engage in that is rich with potential.
And so what exactly is the subway? Like, is it like a setting, or like, what is it? Well,
on the most mundane level, it's a literal means of transit. But in addition to that, we were inspired a little bit by the real New York City and some of the closed or abandoned subway stations in some cases. So I don't know. How much do I reveal?
I think the hard thing is you asked Lynne a question where it's like the subway doesn't quite fit into a location, and it doesn't really fit into like a setting either. Cause
ooh, interesting. So I kind of hit the nail on the head is what you're saying.
Yeah,
I asked a very important question, but it's like, I can't be revealed yet.
Well, it can be revealed, but it's so hard to categorize.
Interesting.
It's like all the things.
It's this and that, right? And I included, if there are any Planescape fans out there, I included a nod to the City of Doors. So if you don't know what that is, look it up. Just a little nod. So there are ways that you can engage with the city that are reflective of the everyday, but then you can reveal this whole other mode of interaction and existence. And that is just, and again, just the roll tables, the encounter tables, the possibilities, the flavor text is really exciting. We really tried to capture the flavor of New York City, and the subway was an integral part of that.
It's both a headquarter. You can have like really interesting encounters while you're on the subway. You can take risks on it to like potentially get a long rest in a really short amount of time. You can just use it to move to places. You can use it to explore abandoned parts of the city. So like you as a GM can like expand that area and all of that kind of stuff. So there's just like, it's all of the above. So
I love cool. That tickles my brain a little bit, and I already am thinking about some things. But interesting. I'm excited to like be able to like actually get in my hands and like read about the subway. That seems fascinating.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I thought Matt did. When Matt's like, "Oh, talk about the writers' meeting. How about this?"
Yeah, no, I think like the main goal with the subway was to create a really fun playing ground for GMs to move in any kind of direction that they want to go with it. So like create like a nice little skeleton for them to then, animate.
Interesting. I love that. I love that kind of freedom a bit, like a little bit of a playground. I love that. I'm excited to see more from it.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot, and we'll probably wrap this up soon-ish. We'll get some questions in, but quickly, Gwen, something that I wanted to get your perspective on is Gwen is actually not only one of our writers, but she's one of our artists on the project too. So if you want to talk to us a little bit about the process that's going on right now in the art side room, that because we wrapped all the writers and now all the artists come in and create our beautiful things.
First things first, like our art team is incredible. Like every single time I see a new piece dropped into the drive, I'm just like, wow, this is gonna be so good. It's just the work that's coming out already is just amazing, and very, very soon people will be able to see some of this stuff, and it's so good. I'm so excited for people to see it. And how that's looking is that we are looking to get some sort of exemplary things out, getting ready for the Kickstarter. And then even past that, of course, we're going to continue working on the rest of the things for the book. Yeah, I have just pushed out the art for the Garbage Elemental. That was the first thing that I finished.
Amazing.
I learned a lot about rendering garbage. It's not easy.
Oh no.
There's a lot of semi-reflective surfaces in bags and things, but I love that little trashy thing. I definitely fell in love with it while painting it.
I can't wait.
And as I mentioned before, I'm working on Rattles the Pizza Rat. That should be finished up soon. The vibes are rancid for this character. Actually, the subway actually partially inspired Rattles the Pizza Rat, because I just imagine, like, man, what if you just roll up into like an abandoned part of it, and then all of a sudden you hear this weird rattling coming from like the dark corridors of the subways, and that's like your mini boss for the session.
That's some Silent Hill stuff, and I'm absolutely here for it. I love that.
Both terrifying and like brings me so much childlike joy.
The juxtaposition between that is amazing.
This stupid little robot pizza rat. I love him so much. I could go on for our writer's room got extended like an extra 30 minutes because we were talking about Rattles the Pizza Rat. So
I love that.
I could talk about Rattles forever. Why don't we...
Plushie.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
No, just we need a Rattles plushie.
Kickstarter goals.
I'm just saying, I know how to get some plushes. So if that is something, I'm the go.
I can't wait till you see. Can't wait till you see what he looks like. It's. I've been working on some sketches. We're getting on some final ideas. It's gonna. I can't wait. Good.
I'm gonna be sitting in that chat room waiting. I want to see some stuff. I have access to the art room chats. I want to see it. I need to see it. That's all I gotta say. Okay.
Also, snails, don't invoke Zardulu's name in here. It'll be a problem for us.
I'm confused. What?
That's a whole discussion for later.
Oh, no. Real person. So,
oh, no.
Why don't we really quickly do some questions from chat? Anything that people are curious about? Specific aspects about the book, things that we talked about. If you want to know about a certain subclass, we literally included every subclass in this book. So go wild. And then some.
Yeah, even we have a Blood Hunter as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even that for you people who like that.
So Jackrabbit Thick actually asked an interesting question. They had said in their message, y'all keep saying New Pantheon. How accurate is that? Is it an expansion of the previous one, or is it some distinct differences between the new and existing? And I am curious about that as well.
The answer is mixed. Yes, it's an expansion. It's not it's not replacing the deities that are in the other books. They're still there. No, they're not going away. But the idea of we're calling them as icons. And the idea with the icons is a little different in that if you're familiar with the Mercury universe, it's a bit reflective of how the whims, the zeitgeist of popular culture will elevate somebody into this deific status. But it also means that they can fall away from their deific status as things change and the winds blow differently, right?
I love that.
It's like, so Bob Ross, there's a version of Bob Ross that's in the Mercury book because we all know and love Bob Ross. But maybe 50 years from now, that won't have quite as much energy behind it to support this deity version. But the idea with the icons, the idea with the family is that these are so important. They are so transcendent that once elevated, that doesn't change. They are who they are, and they're going to be that way. Regardless of whether anybody who's not part of the Chromatic Gamut knows their name, they may not know, my Elon Tuning version, for example. They may not know that name or why he's important, but it doesn't mean that he's not important and he's not a deity. So we really wanted to honor the fact that these are just incredibly impactful people, even if the everyday person doesn't know.
I love that.
So they're not going away. They're there. They are eternal. They get to, exist regardless of what happens with the other deities in Merca.
Yeah, I think something that Lynne and I really talked about was like, we want the people who are deities or icons, in this case for our pantheon, that they're people who get to be honored now and forever because of what they did for the Chromatic Gamut and the LGBTQA+. And a thing of like, it's people who did not potentially get the recognition they deserved in life, so they get it now for eternal life, essentially.
Right.
So we really wanted to do it in a respectful, feel good kind of way where people can create their own icons for their world, for their local community, for people that they know that deserve that kind of recognition, and then just setting the playing field for some very cool, famous people that deserve that recognition.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly one of the reasons that I got emotional about it, right? And I'll use the example of Alan Turing. If you know the story of Alan Turing, this is a man who saved millions of lives by all estimation, and he still faced an incredibly unjust fate. And easily 50 years go by before the majority of people ever find out the impact of his work, because what he did at the time was classified. So it's only been about the last 10 years or so that really the impact of his work and the nature of his work is really coming to full light. Yeah. So we're like, you know what? Yeah, this is somebody who, by the way, is probably a favorite of rogues everywhere, because you want to talk about somebody who knows how to break a code, bypass systems, whether you're talking about preventing people from doing that or you're trying to do it yourself. This is your guy. This is probably who you're going to worship. Like I imagine a lot of rogues in his congregations, because he's the best, right? Of course you would want to. So
yeah,
code breaking, lock picking, sneaking. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. So yes and no, but
well, I mean, you could be, again, evil party, good party. Like the options are available to us, right?
And that perfect example is our version of Sylvia Rivera. I mean, this is a revolutionary person, right? Like, you want to throw a brick, you want to bring the revolution, that's probably going to be the main icon that you worship, because she will support you in your efforts, right? There's lots of different ways to interact with these figures, depending on what aspect of them speaks to you the most. So,
yeah, we've also got, who else do we got? We've got Chi-Chi Divine, and we've got Xenophonia, as you named her. She's very cool. Yeah. So, like,
Sophie fans, yes, Xenophonia is there to honor Sophie. So I'm really excited about Xenophonia, just saying. Really
I love that. Yeah, there's a lot of very cool ones. If we don't have any other questions in chat, do you have any specific questions you wanted to direct to us, Krown, before we start wrapping things up here?
Oof, no, I think I got my fill, and all I want now is just the book in my hands so I can experience it all word by word, because this sounds amazing, and this sounds like something I've always wanted to see. Ooh, Alphabet Mafia! I need to know Snail said something about it. What the heck is an alphabet mafia?
Just like, I am at peace. Everything is good. The alphabet mafia.
Wait, what's that? That is it. That is it.
So the alphabet mafia is they run our version of Broadway, which is Monarch Boulevard. So they're just a bunch of theater kids.
Amazing.
They're
amazing.
But they also do some important sneaky.
They do.
stuff.
They do some very important stuff. So they are fighting back against the Noir, which is the big evil that's kind of zapping the life force out of the city. We've got like Patrick. Or what am I saying? Not Patrick Stewart. What am I talking about? Neil Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris is in there, and Laverne Cox. So like
amazing,
some cool kids.
I can't wait.
Oh, Erica has a question for us.
Yes, I was waiting until the spiel about the alphabet mafia was done because I really needed to know that. I craved that information. But that is a great question about the book time release and if it was intentional.
110%. We worked the entire writer's room schedule and everything around so we could release Kickstarter June 1st for Pride Month and have everything super gay as possible because that's what I'm about. That's what everybody here is about. But we are releasing on Kickstarter on June 1st. If anybody here wants to follow the Kickstarter pre-launch, there is a link on our Twitter, and there is a link that I saved for everybody to see. I will drop it in chat for everyone here, and then anyone who's watching this as pre-recorded will be able to grab it afterwards because, yeah, that's the important part of these things. So I will grab that information for you guys and drop it in chat. But in the meantime, Krown, why don't we move on to the other thingy?
Yes. So then Jack also asked if y'all could play in the world of the Chromatic Gamut, would y'all? And what would you play? And I'm excited to see this too, because you clearly have worked on a lot of stuff, but what is your own like personal preference, taste? What would you do to experience the world you want to experience it?
Man. Bailey, you and I had this discussion. You hate warlocks, but I love warlocks. And you wrote the warlock subclass.
I made the warlock subclass.
Oh my god.
I love it. This is the thing. You made it so it was a warlock that you could play. It's a warlock that I would love to play. Again, it's just the way that you did it. There's just so many options, so many things that you can do with this warlock. And I mean, the flavor of it is just basically just like a weird mushroom kid. And
oh my god, I love that!
It's my mushroom warlock, so it's all about cottagecore and like horoscopes and shit.
I am transcending at this very moment. My soul is leaving my body. That is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. I can see the potential.
Yeah, I would absolutely do that. And knowing me, I would also try to find a way to like put my spin on it. Like, okay, well, cottagecore, but how do I turn you into like a big supervillain celebrity mega mind person?
I love that.
My goal with making the mushroom warlock was I hate playing warlocks. How can I make this warlock the least warlock like possible so I can play it? So like,
I love that though.
You get to throw mushrooms at people and a whole bunch of other fun stuff like that. Because Snails just referred to it as me pushing my mushroom agenda the entire time. So I mean, I'm okay with that.
Agenda.
Yeah, it's an amazing agenda. I'm all on board. Sign me up. Let's go.
What about you, Lynne? What would you play?
You know, I'm torn because I love them all. My first thought was Cleric. There's a really awesome Cleric. And I haven't done Clerics enough in my role gaming career, but personality-wise, I'd want to go and heal everybody and make everybody happy and feel good and
We love that.
I don't know. It's my big mom energy, even though I have no children and never intended to.
You can still have big mom energy.
I have
That's
big
just
mom
it.
energy for all my adopted babies. And so that I would really love to offer that kind of, supportive, feel good role. But I'm not going to lie, that rogue is really tempting.
Right? The rogue sits in my mind still. It's right here, right at the very front. And I'm just waiting to see more.
It might be a little meta if, I did the rogue and my girlfriend did just saying.
Just someday.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's meta at all. You should do it and let me know how it goes.
It's built for
Krown
cooperation.
wants the goth.
Yeah.
Right?
I want the details. I want the funnies. I want the giggles. I want to know. That's it.
But like, just to also make sure that people know too, like we have all of the subclasses. Like
Yeah.
our artificer is based off of like giving people the ability to like be combat ready if you use prosthetics and stuff like that. So it's like super geared towards people with disabilities in like a really like cool, powerful way. And like the ranger, the sky pirate, which is what Snails is talking about in chat down there. So you're a sky pirate. There's
Love
a new
that.
terrain type. And then we got paladin, oath of drag artistry, which Gwen mentioned. And then we got monk, way of the vogue. So you use your vogue styles to like, so like you can force people to okay, so this monk, it's a long range monk. So you can do long range combat as a monk. So that's the design with it. So you can like vogue and then you can like force people to fall prone and stuff like that. It'll be great.
You guys are not ready for the art for this monk. It is I was floored when I saw it.
I'm so ready. I am just so ready. I can't wait. I'm ecstatic.
So we also got silly ones too. We've got our wizard one, which is School of Stonks. So you get
Oh my god!
crash the stock
Oh, that's
market.
right. The Stonks Wizard. How could we forget?
Get to crash the stock market as a wizard, so it'll be great.
I'm so sorry, Rogue. That's the one I'm going for now. That one is it. I'm so sorry, Rogue, to betray you, but that one sounds too amazing to give up. Oh my god.
We're a comedy company after all.
I love this.
But I really want to play my warlock because I think it's the longest subclass out of all the subclasses.
Oh yeah,
is it?
It's a big subclass. That's part of why I love it.
And then I wrote 4 invocations, so it's like a big subclass.
We love
those
a beefy
invocations are
subclass.
So good.
Anyways, I actually kind of really want to play the artificer because it's really cool. You could like make really cool. You could be like, you can like use your prosthetic buildings to like do like hearing aids and stuff like that, and then you get like really cool like bonuses and buffs and things. It's very, very cool. And then like in the future, you can also like build ones for like teammates and stuff like that. So it's very cool.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, but you can also like if you're just a person that wants 4 arms, you can also do that. So
yes. That is what I want. That's all I'm about. As many limbs as possible. Let's go.
And like along the lines of like what Bailey did for the warlock, I don't like to play paladins at all, so I made a paladin that I would like to play, and it sort of allows you to sort of take advantage of like role playing a lot, as well as being able to pump out damage like a paladin does, and the focus is on empowerment and being able to buff your team. This is probably one of the out of like all the paladins that exist, probably one of the best that can like support their party just by being there. I think the aura is aura of empowerment, and you get shining presence and slaying smite, and there's an ability called quick shade, which is really actually quite good.
I love that. I love the name alone. I'm sure it's an amazing ability, but the name alone is amazing. But I think what I find interesting about this conversation about classes too is that you guys have both said I wanted to make a character or a class that I wanted to play. And again, isn't that the queer experience? You become the change that you want to see in the world. And even if it's as small as subclasses, I think that alone speaks volumes to the queer experience in media in general. So
Hey.
I love that.
I think all of us lived our whole life saying, you know, if you want it to be that way, just make it yourself. And then we were like, watch it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine, we'll do it.
We'll do it.
And I think that's really important when we're like, you know, advertising this as queer-led and queer-made, that like the making of this book, the writing of this book was a queer experience.
Yeah. The whole thing is a queer experience, and it echoes clearly, even just us like shooting the shit and talking and like discussing it. It is very obvious, like a loved, cared, and nurtured for queer experience between all the writers. Even as someone outside, I have never been in the writer room ever, but I can see how much like love and attention is put into this, and like I can't wait to actually get to read it though, and like see all the actual work you guys put into it. It's going to be amazing. I already can tell.
It's going to be great, and I'm so excited. So if you guys want to follow the project, you can follow the link that Krown dropped into chat. That's Kickstarter/actionfiction/Chromatic Gamut, or you can follow us on Twitter, which is just Twitter @actionfiction, and we're launching on June 1st. And it's exciting and stressful. So
close.
I think that's it. And we'll say goodbye to everybody and end our stream. So thank you for dropping in. And we'll be sure to upload this for people to watch later as well. So goodbye.
Bye, everyone.